Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all good. I hope everybody has seen the agenda and our financial statement. Any questions on the financial statement?
Yeah, I have a question. It seems like, are donations an expense or their income? I would think donations would be income.
No, we're not an organization that receives donations. So we've been going and giving donations to keep our other organizations alive.
Oh, okay.
Because, for example, the Texas Authors Institute of History, which doesn't have generally income, we help support their website payment, the hosting service and stuff like that.
Got it. Thank you.
So I have a question that I don't think I'll like the answer to.
Yes.
On the AME 23, the income is one person?
Yep.
That is not good.
No. So here's the situation. In last year, we were scheduled to do the AME. We had roughly 40 people signed up for it. So all of those people I'm going to carried over. But so we have that. So far, we only had one person sign up for this year, which is, yeah, it's very disappointing. We've been posting, we've had over 300 postings in social media and all of our social media accounts related to authors and stuff, and just 0 responses. So that we're going to go into a little bit more detail in new business, but that's where we're at this point in that. Any other questions about the financials?
Believe it or not, I didn't get that information.
Well, it's not very pretty, so.
So let me go ahead and share my system. Bear with me. So, so here is on the left, if you can see, Denise, is our income. Total is $4,073 some odd cents, and our expenses is $4,073 and some odd cents. But
Okay.
so at the top there, the membership renewals, which continue to go down, events referring to programs that we've been doing, like the Canva class and other small little classes that we've been doing, and events and programs like the keyword search program that we did. Those are listed under that, so not a whole lot there. The book contest so far, $342. Poetry fees, we've had 4 people sign up for that, so that's $25 each. The AME, the stock, which I believe that's from you, purchasing stock in the organization. Sponsorships, other income, which is me giving money to keep things going. Transfers from one account to another account, but it's all included in the expenses down below and stuff. And by that, we have a credit card that I prefer to use to try to put as much expenses on that card as I can, even though it doesn't always work out because of the time it takes to transfer the funds, but it is what it is. So
What is the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What is the sponsorship?
So sponsorship is like my organization, Bourgeois Media, trying to sponsor the event and stuff because I try to advertise through the organization. So, I put in my money every so often when I can, when we need a bill paid, basically. I put money in. But sponsorship is open for anybody who wants to help sponsor the organization in the AME event specifically. It goes towards that.
Is there a set amount for that, or did I miss that somewhere on the? And by the way, thank you for redoing the website. Looks very nice now.
Thank you. So there's different levels of sponsorship from $250 up to $25,000.
Okay. I probably saw that somewhere, but
I'll have to look to see if it's actually listed on the website. And so I'll email it to you. Okay, and then expenses, the 1099, which means contract workers. I have somebody who helps me with doing a lot of the postings and stuff like that. So he's very inexpensive. So that's money well worth it. Sales, we had to reverse something. And so that's why I was listed as that. Travel, which is paying for gas when I'm going to go do something, or food when I'm at an event. Other services, which is just classifications I don't have properly listed, which would be like postage and things of that nature. Instead of breaking it down, just put it under other services. Office expenses, which is the phone, the website hosting, which is part of the marketing, but things of that nature. Travel again goes back to when actually travel's listed twice. I'll have to double check that. I didn't realize that, but yeah, I'll have to double check that. I'll have to look at the spreadsheet. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. Any questions? Okay. If everybody's cool with that, somebody want a motion to accept it?
I make a motion to accept it.
Okay, all in favor, please.
I second.
Thank you. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, so old items, the AI commercials, which was something we launched. Membership renewals, as you know, we changed that up a little bit. Do this, make it easier for Denise to see. Just bear with me a second. That really didn't work. There we go. Okay, so like I said, the commercials, doing them, giving people opportunity to use AI to promote their books and stuff like that. Membership renewals, which we approved of and stuff. And that's pretty much it under old stuff. New business, revision of the subscription service. Let's see. Actually, that should have been under old business. We talked about, James, you had talked previously about your services and creating that financial aspect. That was the last board meeting, was that not?
Sure. Yeah, we went in detail that presentation. I went over with everybody.
Yeah. All right, that's what I thought. So that should have been old business, so that's fine. Okay, so
well, here it is. Yeah, let me tackle that first, Alan, if I may.
Sure.
I do think that is sound, but before companies are going to step up and sponsor, they've got to get business in the door. They're not just going to start with a kind of a startup, or just on the ground floor. So what I'd like to do is build this up, and maybe at this convention we can really go in detail about letting authors know how important it is to set up a financial plan, a retirement plan, insurance, really make it a employee benefit rich type approach. And then once we do that, that's going to generate fee income to the association, which will help us, do other things as well. I think it'll attract people too, don't you? Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're at 13 years of doing this. So we're definitely past that new year period, but it feels like we are starting from scratch because we've gone from 350 members down to about 50 members. So that's a huge drop. And it's very frustrating. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But yeah, as far as the access to authors, we have a 7,000 email list that we send out stuff constantly to. So that sponsorship includes that list. So it's not just the AME group that shows up, 50 to 100 people, it's that 7,000 and stuff. So keep that in mind as far as the sponsorship. Amazon Keywords was also part of the old business. So I apologize. That's why it's shown here twice instead of under the old business. My apologies. Any questions in relation to any of that stuff?
No, I do have some questions, but I don't think about any old business.
Okay.
Well, if you, Alan, if you need another judge, I'm more than happy to help with that. Since I kind of was helping put together the criteria.
Right. You're the one judge.
Oh, I am. Okay. Well, I can find some other judges. How many judges would you like to have? You know, maybe a panel of 5?
Ideally 5, but I'll be happy with 3.
Yeah, well, you know what? We can do that. That's not a problem. And if anybody here on the board likes poultry and wants to serve, just let us know.
I can do that.
Poetry?
Excellent.
I can do that, Alan.
Okay, great. I'll add you to the list because we have 4 poems that right off the bat need to be done. And in
I
case
was
you
gonna
guys,
say I could too, because I write poetry, so.
yeah, so there you go. Let me show you real quickly under the services, marketing opportunities. You have the poetry contest, the contest itself, but the judging guidelines are shown there. And it's pretty much detailed, okay? What the point scores are and all that information. So when I send you guys the poems, I'll attach this link so that you'll have the reference as to how to score and everything. And then also I'll add in the scoring sheet that you will fill out for each one. That will be automated on the system, just like we do for the book contest, short story contest, stuff like that. All right. All right, so all right, move on to new business. Authors marketing event, that's the big issue right now because it's in roughly 3 months. And we need to sell basically 50 tickets to pay for our expenses. Somebody's joining us. 1 second. Let me write down. All right. So yeah, that's where we're at. We need to sell a minimum of 50 tickets so that we can cover our basic expenses. And then ideally, we need to sell a lot more than that. I'd like to see us add 100 to 150 people this year. And as I mentioned earlier, I was on a conference call with the Independent Book Publishers Association. And a lot of those organizations are somewhat feeling the same thing. People are not signing up for a lot of in-person sessions. And if it's a virtual session, they expect it to be free, which we can't do.
I do know that when you first posted and people could sign up for it, it was from
I'm not sure what's happening, Becky.
price until the end of last year.
Okay.
And then
Becky, can you hear me, Becky? Okay, Becky, if you can hear me, we seem to be losing you.
Unstable. I really am unstable, but
let me know when your system's back.
okay. I can see you, so
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah,
So-
you're just cutting in and out. That's the only problem.
Okay.
If
Joys of living in the country.
you want to start again, and
Okay, I was saying that at first it was confusing what the actual price was of a ticket. And when I tried to sign up, it told me it was one price, then it would be another, but it would pre-populate as a different price, like it's doing now. I checked it. Now tickets are $195.95. Is that correct? Is tax make it $224.95?
I should not be charging tax.
Okay, so it at the bottom of when you fill in your sheet, when I look at it, it says $224.95. So I don't know if that's just something that is left over or what, but I think it's been confusing for people. And I think they think at first it looked like the tickets were the full price. And so I had to think twice, since I'm already going to other ones this year. I had to think, is that worth almost the same price as going to Killer Nashville? So, but when it was on half price, that definitely was worth it. And it still is, even at full price. For me, it is. But I can see where people would think it wasn't.
Right. So let me clarify. The 224 is the newer price.
Okay.
The 199 ended technically June 15th, but it wasn't until July 1st that I actually upped it to 224.
Okay. I think
Ideally-
somewhere it still shows the old price, so that's the confusing part.
Okay, it may appear Yeah, there it is. I see it. So I'll have to fix that. Thank you.
Okay. And it's also, a lot of people don't have the extra money to spend until the last minute. But
Yeah.
I do realize that we can't wait until the last minute. But I wanted to clarify the price and everything.
Yeah, and I have sent out a lot of social media saying that there is payment plans available to help make it easier for people to pay it out. Because I mean, I get coming up with $200 up front is not always easy, especially inflation's still hurting us. But on social media, at least I do put it out there, and I think I had it at the top here that they could also request payments.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, because I do want to make it as easy as possible. But that brings up the question, as I mentioned earlier, the virtual aspect. All of our classes will be both in person and virtual as of right now. So that people have the option of signing up for either. But as I heard on the conference call, the people that wanted to do the virtual, one, they expected it to be free. Two, they would sign up for it, but then wait for the replay to actually watch it instead of doing it on live, which is fine, and that's better. But we can't do it for free. We have to cover our expenses. So I need help from y'all to figure out how can we get those sales going, or do we just cancel the in-person and just strictly do it virtual and still charge a fee for it?
I have an opinion, but I don't want to hog the floor. So anyone else want to speak?
You got it, Becky.
So
got
for
momentum.
me,
Go with the momentum.
Alan, like I told you, I needed to write this down and share it with people. But for me, going to the event was life-changing for me, because when I first started, well, this year's my 10th year to be writing. And I think I started with you 8 years ago, I think. I think it might have even been the first one. I think must have been in 15 or 16 that I went.
In Austin.
Okay, yes. And so I was new. I still didn't have the confidence to say, hey, I'm an author. I think I had 2 or 3 books out, and I did win an award, and I have, almost every year since, all except the year that we only gave away 1 award. Anyway, but it made a difference to me, and I got to interact with people, and still some of the people that I met at that very one, I still kind of, I still keep in contact with, even if I don't see them at in-person events. So I think it's very important for the camaraderie and to be able to just be with people instead of doing it online. Online, I think it has become the norm for people to pay. So yes, they want to do the cheap way, but I think that is norm now, to do even virtual events, to have to pay for them. We're certainly not the only event that expects payment for that. But I would hate to see us to cancel the event.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I've had feedback from some members, and they're not going this year because they want something new.
New and what?
You mean like classes or?
Yeah, different things. They feel like they're
Yeah.
getting the same thing.
Did it give you
Well,
suggestions of new classes?
Do what?
Did it give you any suggestions for new classes?
No, they didn't.
Of course.
No, they didn't. And these are old authors. They've been around forever, and they want to hear some new stuff.
Understand.
It'd be a good idea, if I can interject,
Sure.
real quick, is surveys. I think that is key. Is number one, you survey the people who've been to the events. You survey your potential prospects and saying, hey, we want this to be for you. Tell us what you would like to see us do, and then correspond to it.
So we did do that.
But I do think, I think going back to what, I'm sorry, I'm going to get everybody's name, but the first nice young lady who was speaking,
Becky.
I think you need 2 dimensions. You need to have the in-person, which I think you never want to replace, but you also want to have that streaming opportunity, and you want to charge different price for both. You cannot substitute that personal contact. That's where you build long-term relationships, and that's where you bond with people. You don't do it streaming at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was the whole point of doing that in person, was to get those contacts going, get people to meet other people, learn from each other. Because it really does make a difference, like Becky said and stuff. I mean, she's not only won awards with us, but with a lot of other organizations as well and stuff. So, I mean, it does work. It does have its value. Sharon, if I may real quickly, you were part of Bill's event up in Oklahoma and stuff. What did you see and feel that could be a benefit to us in any way?
I think one of the things is that I think it's just the longevity had something to do with it. And the fact that the events that he did prior to the conference just kept the juice alive. I agree. Could you put the link to the website in the chat? I want to go back and look at it. I'm thinking, Alan, I think that perhaps is there a committee that helps you plan this? That's my number one question. And I think another thing that works for him is that he collaborates with another organization. So those two organizations double the reach, their reach, okay? So I think that's really, and then he has different people come, keynote speakers come every year. And they're from New York and, all that wonderful kind of stuff. So I think that is what contributes to his success.
All right, I did put the link in there. It'll take you to the other pages as well. Yeah, I really work hard on trying to make sure we have new subject matter as much as possible, and we have to cover some old stuff too, because while some things are changing, some things are still old that need to be re-educated for new members that are coming in and stuff. That's why I brought in the writing aspect this year and stuff. And back to Jane's comment about the surveys, we've done that. We did that for this year's event back at the end of last year, saying, what do you want to learn? We only got 2 responses. So, it's frustrating. We put it out there, we ask, and then we don't get anything back.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I think one of the things that I would like to, I think let me start with this. I think some of it is that, when you think about going to an event, so you got to pay for the hotel, you got to pay for your drive. I mean, you got to get there. All these various things are variables at this point. And so with the way the economy is at this point, those can be very expensive for some. And so I think that might be one of the things, and people are just not really saying it. That could be an expensive thing with everything else they got going on in their life, I guess. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so that might be a reason why, so maybe for the local artists, the local authors that are in the area, you could still do an on-site. And then for the rest of the people that just can't make it, then do the virtual. But I don't know if you can charge the same $225 fee for a $199 fee for the virtual as well. That might be a little stiff, but anyway, you still can charge for it. I think it still should be a fee. That's what I do think. I'm not sure how much, but I think it should be a fee, because nothing is free. And so people know that, and they pay for what they want to pay for. So I want to make sure to say that. The next thing is, I think, like for me, as an independent author, one of the things I struggle with the most is getting it on that Ingram Sparks and that Amazon. I don't know what it is. And then you can't get any information from them. So I wish that would be a class, because if we could probably get that mastered, that would help a whole lot for a lot of people, because that's some of the frustration I get. Sometimes I just give up. And I feel like I give up. But anyway, and that's not the answer, but I think, some of those things, that would be something I would really be interested in, is making sure I am clear about how to do that portion of the thing. I got stuff to publish, but if it's always a journey trying just to get it up on any of those sites, I think that's what frustrates me. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. That's it.
So both Denises, I know
Yes.
struggle with that. So I'm going to ask both of you, since you guys are friends, to spend a couple minutes, if you would, and create a list of issues that you have and send that to me. And then
Okay.
I can look accordingly to see who's the best speaker to address those issues.
Okay, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And,
Okay.
and anybody else can do that as well.
Right.
You
I
know,
have a question.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Alan, I know you roll up your sleeves and I mean, I've been to your conferences before. I don't know why people stop coming. I wouldn't have stopped coming. I mean, I know the pandemic I'm just being honest and transparent. Really, technically, there's not a whole lot that Bill did that you don't do.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be honest. When I first came to your event after having attended lots of events, I mean, it was like a well-oiled machine. I was, I was, really impressed. So I'm in a kind of, forgive me, I'm in a state of shock because I'm like, excuse my expression, what in the hell happened? That's what I want to know. I mean, I'm being honest.
No,
And you knew me for me to say that statement. It was a lot. This doesn't make sense.
Sharon, what
are
do you
we-
say specifically doesn't make sense?
The fact that the attendance goes down to one person when, I mean, people were there, they were enjoying themselves. I mean, they left empowered. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what happened.
But I
Did
know,
Are we having too
people die
many?
off?
no,
There were
but-
older people did they die off. What happened?
but one thing for me is all of us are trying to sell books. So when you speak of, you wanted me to come to a conference, and like Denise said, I'm not selling books. So I'm spending, and I know it's wonderful to go and learn, but when you basically tell the independent authors, we want you to spend money to come and learn, and that's wonderful. But basically, if they're not making any money already, so it's like a catch-22. I'm not making any money, but I need to come to the conference to learn how to make money. But I got to have money to get to the conference.
all right, so let me ask all of you this, okay, and bear with me, okay? We've seen the suffering, okay? The organization has lost members, and a lot of it had to do with the financial aspects and stuff. I get
Mhm.
that. And I get also some of them were just tired of certain events being canceled or postponed or put into virtual versus actually happening and stuff. And they felt, to a point, ripped off because they weren't getting really what they thought they were paying for. So I understand that too. So at this point, are we better off saying, let's reduce the price to a really low, reasonable amount to try to bring in the people so that next year we don't have to worry about it? Is that something we need to consider? And the other thing too is I'm not out there like I used to be because we haven't had the money to go travel to do
Right.
events and stuff. I mean, Texas Book Festival, we didn't get to do that last year. We didn't get to do the Texas Library Conference this year, any of them. So I have not been able to go to events and bring in the new members and to talk up all the things that we do and stuff. So I know that's hurt as well. So the question is, do we lower the price to one price for virtual and one price for in-person that makes it more feasible and more accepting
Yes.
for people?
Absolutely. There's
Yeah,
no
I
doubt.
think
Like
that's
I
a
said
good
earlier,
idea. But I also
Green-
think for now, at this point, should we focus on one big event instead of a whole bunch of events?
So for
And-
the Author School of Business, the one event we're focused in on this year is the AME. Now,
Okay.
the Texas Authors Institute of History, the museum aspect, that's a separate board, and we're focusing on the Lone Star event to have that happen. So technically, while everybody gets to enjoy both events, each organization's separate and looking at separate events to do. So right now, the focus for us is the AME in September. Okay,
Yeah,
James,
Alan, to answer your question,
James, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how about we agree that we have 2 fees, one for the streaming and one for the in-person?
Yes.
So the question then goes back, do we market? First off, do we lower the price? Right now it's $224 for in-person. Do we bring it back down to $195? Do we bring it down to $125? And market it as, hey, we understand everybody's hurting financially because of inflation. And so we're supporting the authors, and this is the price that we're offering you.
Yeah, I think lowering the fee. I think you've got to drive business. That's one way to do it. But I wouldn't do it negatively. I do it positively. That, hey, if you're a writer, we're going to give you a scholarship, a $75 scholarship to come to the event, and so that drops you from $225 to $145 or whatever the number is. You like that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Charlotte?
That way, when you go back up next year, it ain't no problem. You see what I'm saying? 'Cause you say I gave you.
Yeah, you got scholarship last year, man. You advanced. You graduated.
Becky, you're being quiet.
I think that's a good idea. The scholarship, I know that that's what Killer Nashville does. As for what Sharon was saying, she couldn't imagine why people didn't show up. I think one of our strengths that is also one of our weaknesses is that we cover so many different genres. Like I was saying, I know nothing about writing a self-help book. I don't know anything about a lot of different things. And so when they come to our convention, you have speakers speaking on things that you're not interested in. So the marketing part just somewhat is the same, but really it's different for each specialty. I know one time, Alan, I think it was when we had one in Dallas, I was looking at what it said on the thing. It sounded interesting. Well, it was a children's book. Well, I didn't really need to know that thing. So I didn't want to walk out because that would be rude. So I sat through one that I would have spent that time better somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good thing because it brings everyone together, and we still can learn things off of people who write something different than we do. But yet, when I go to VoucherCon or Killer Nashville or whatever, it's more focused on my genre, which is mystery. So I don't know. I know what Charlotte was saying, that there's not a lot new. And one thing I might point out, and this might be jumping ship on to the other subject, but as far as the author school and the different levels, the beginning level has 28 classes. The intermediate has 19 classes, but the advanced level has 2 classes. So yes, a person who's been in business, been an author, I'm going on 10, this is my 10th year. Yes, I do need refreshers, and there's always something new happening and getting on, everything is changing all the time. So you still need those basic ones, but there's nothing new advanced to offer to people to entice them.
Right, and the NFT class is the newest thing because it is new.
Mhm.
I did talk to some people about doing an AI class because that's now an issue. One, the legality of using and working with AI in your books and stuff like that, and the latest things going on. So that's one of the classes I am trying to add, trying to find a good speaker for that.
I know something I wanted to say based on what she was talking about. A lot of times when you go to conferences, they have, so I understood what she was talking about when she writes in a certain genre, she wants to hear. But what if so a lot of times when we go to conferences, even like at our church conferences, they have about 5 or 6 classes going at the same time. You pick which way you want to go. And that way you're not missing anybody's genre, but you can go to, if you do children's book, then you can go to the children's book. If you do mysteries, you go over to the mysteries. And it's all happening at the same time. And so maybe then you can do that. And then somebody that writes a Christian fiction, they can go to that. Somebody writes poetry, can go to that. or if they choose to go somewhere else, then they can go somewhere else. And then maybe that way, nobody's kind of like, oh, well, that might be help with the interest too, because you have all of these classes in these different genres, so people can choose. They might be going on in the two sessions in the thing, one on one day, one on another, and then they can still get it if they want to. They can still go to the porch, but maybe they'll go to it on Saturday instead of Friday or whatever. But I just think that might help out too, because then that way you're not focused on just one area. You got a bunch of focuses, and then maybe you can have a Q&A with a panel of those various writing genres that people can funnel questions to in a general session or something. I don't know. That's just an idea.
Yeah, Becky, in earlier discussion her and I had, she brought up the fact of panels and stuff. It's something we can do. Real quickly, as a reminder, previous years, we have had 2 sets of classes going at the exact same time, both days. Usually it's one class for beginners, one class for intermediate and or advanced. So those that come, depending on what their education level is or what they desire, can go to those classes. All of the classes are recorded and are up on our websites that those people who attend in person can go back and watch them throughout the year for free. Okay. Everybody who's a member of the ASB can log in and watch all of our classes that are going back to 2017 when we first started recording them. So beginners, intermediate, and advanced, there's tons of classes on there. Everybody's welcome to do it. And I know that's something people keep forgetting about, which I don't get. It's like, here's the tools available for you to go back and watch, because the main thing I heard from everybody every single year, I'm exhausted, my brain is mush, I'm so confused with everything I've learned, I need to figure it all out again. And that's why we had this available for them to go back and watch so they can refresh and relearn and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that we do on purpose and stuff. I don't think there's many other sites that do that.
I was gonna say something too else, Alan. Like we're having at the African American Museum here in Dallas on the 19th of August, we are having a thing. And so, if we have some stuff that we could put on our tables, to pass out too, that may, drum up some interest for membership and things like that, that would be great too, because we could do that.
Denise, I'm glad you brought that up, because I did reach out to them trying to get a table and I never heard back from them.
Well,
You
I
talking
got
about
one. Both
Two
of us got
Saloma?
one.
I'm
You talking
sorry?
about at the Tusaloma event at the
Mhm.
African American Museum,
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah, it's a $25 table, but nobody ever got back to me, so I couldn't sign up.
Okay,
Well,
well, we'll reach out to them.
Okay.
Denise and I
Sure.
both are going, and we'll reach out to them and tell them that who you are. We'll do that.
All right. And Sharon, you wanted to say something?
I was wondering, is there room in the event schedule to have writing groups where people who are up like genres could get together and do group writes? They could ask each other questions. They could, people could literally bring their manuscripts and not necessarily get critiques, but share ideas and ask questions of each other. I think we take the knowledge that you have and build on it. Equip new writers, and the old writers get to be in a different, how can I say, they get to be semi-instructors. They get to share the wealth of their knowledge with somebody in their genre. I think when you set them up to be not instructors, but to be facilitators, that encourages them to want to show up. Most people, service hasn't died. I mean, it's not as prevalent in the younger generations as it is in the older generations. But if we could have writing groups, where people in the same genre could come, and then what would be really neat, I don't know how this would happen, is if we have somebody who has had a certain level of success in that genre to kind of
Excellent.
facilitate that group.
Okay, so to that, Sharon, what is your specialty? What do you
Mine,
write in? Yeah, what do you write in?
oh, now
Uh-huh,
I'm doing novellas. I'm doing Christian novellas.
fiction, okay.
Mhm.
Denise Montgomery, what do you genre?
Mine is totally fiction. I write my best in fiction, and like she said, I'm working on a novella. I've done the first 2 parts of a series, so I'm doing novellas right now as well.
Okay. Any particular, I know it's Christian, but is there anything else genre wise?
No, mine aren't particularly Christian. They're just fiction.
This fiction, okay.
They're just fiction.
And Denise Bryson?
I do children's and poetry, and then I'm working on a novel.
So I have everybody's list, and Charlotte, just to clarify, you do self-help and you're a speaker, correct?
Self-help speaker, and I've got my children's book coming out, so I like
Right.
different genres.
Right.
I write children's books as well, Alan. I do children's books too.
And I've done one children's book, and I've helped produce well, I would say about three children's books I've published or helped publish. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so then if I may, yeah, but I'm actually going to do it anyways. I am assigning each of you a group for lunch on Saturday. Since the lunch will be there at the hotel, basically what we'll do is we'll set it up and then set groups within the banquet room. And one will be for children's, one will be mystery, thrillers, which Becky, I know you're good for. And then we'll do the other one is poetry. So I guess mystery and cozy mystery, thrillers, fiction, we'll just group that as that one. Then we'll have the children's, and then we'll have poetry. And we'll have you guys split up and be on the board or on the panel for each of those three. Will that work?
When is that? When is this, Alan?
This will be Saturday, the 16th of September.
Okay, that was the problem. My 50th class reunion is that same weekend. That's why I hadn't registered yet, because I have my 50th class reunion.
Okay. So everybody else,
Yeah.
and does that work for everybody
I think
else?
if you got it, partner,
Yeah, it'll work for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
James?
Yeah,
I
James?
think if you couple it with the scholarships for people who have attended the conference before, we want to reward you for your loyalty. The way I agree with the gentleman, if you make it a positive, that will draw people. And then you could ask people what kind of writing group do they want to attend, or at this late date, it might not be. It's best to use what you got, but.
Well, you could say we're planning these, and did we leave, someone out? And see if there's enough people that are interested in that one.
James, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just said you forgot me, partner. You named everybody but me, but that's okay. I got thick skin.
Well, I got you under poetry.
Well, it's poetry, also self-development. I do a lot of, written a couple of books on optimism. I've got a new book coming out called The Empowerment of Optimistic Believing, which is going to be dynamite.
Right.
And
and
so,
that's self-help.
Right.
exactly, that is self-help, you guys.
Okay. All right. So
I like the idea. And there was a lady who spoke earlier about panels. So that's kind of nice that you've introduced that back into it, because I do think that solves a lot of things. It gets people involved. It creates a facilitation role, and people can ask questions, so they're actively involved versus watching a talking head, which is boring. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to the pricing issue. Okay. So for virtual, what do you think is a fair price to charge for that?
I think it should be half of what the in-person would be. So if you're going to do it if you're going to charge 200, make it 100 for streaming. So that makes it easy.
I think it should be a little bit more than half, because too many people, I think, would opt out and say, hey, why not save half price and just do virtual? So what if it was just part of that would make
Well,
it,
So what
we
about,
try to make them come.
Well, you give them some incentive to come too. All those who come in are going to get this. They're going to be able to meet
Right.
this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look what you get for your money. Right.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so all right, so let's go then back to the in-person. Currently it's set at 224. Should we go back to 195? Or should we go lower?
I like
lower.
the 195. I think people can come up with that. And here's one of my reasonings. I've always heard, that if you make yourself cheap, you're going to look cheap. So I really hate to see us, go down that rabbit hole and people go, oh, they're cheap. So, we're not going to get anything.
And I owned a store for years, and it is a mindset, but once you go over a certain price, people W is expensive. If you can keep it under 200 and as close as you can, they're thinking, oh, that's a pretty good used to they would say $100 was the worst price point. If it was valued at 99, is it an expensive, cheap piece of stuff? And if you say it's 105, are you just gouging people and trying to get more? So, there is a range in there that you have to find. So if you go over 200, they're thinking, 200, I could go buy a dozen eggs. If you keep it under 200, they're thinking, well, that's not a bad deal. And look at all this that I'm going to get for it.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to propose. Okay. Reduce the price back to 195 for in-person, 195.95. Then for the virtual 120, okay, 124.95, $75 off from the two. So they see a savings, but not too much of a savings that an extra $75 wouldn't be too bad to come in person if they chose to.
Hey, can I interject here real quick, Alan?
Sure.
Just between you and I know everybody does this on their books, but when you're doing 95, 99, I think we ought to do whole numbers. So it's a 150.
It's a mental thing
It's a
about the
mental thing.
195.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah. Okay. So those two prices, how does that work for y'all?
I think that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, with the $45 scholarship too, right? So there you go. You get the members get a scholarship, and then the rest pay the regular price. I mean, that's one idea.
Okay. All right. So anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the money you just said.
195 for in-person, 124.95 for virtual.
A second.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All righty, good. Now, anything else about the AME we need to review, discuss?
At what point would we call it off?
Well,
If we all go out there and try to promote it, are we going to be falling on our faces saying, well, never mind, I talked you into that, but we're not. So where is the cutoff point for you that we have to
we're pretty much
win
there.
and how much?
We're pretty
Do
much there. We're there.
Okay.
So if we move forward, it's now getting those 50 in-person tickets sold to cover the hotel expenses for everybody. And then finding sponsors. The sponsorship, like I said, we reach out to 7,000 authors.
I'll do a sponsorship. I don't know how much, but I will do a sponsorship
Okay.
if that helps. If it's
Yeah.
okay for me, I mean.
Yeah. And I'll send you the things so you can choose which one you want.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we need sponsorships to help make sure we cover the expense and stuff.
When is the latest date that you have to let the hotel know, Alan?
30 days prior. So August 15th.
August 15th.
And a reminder, September 15th, which kicks the event off, is also the next board meeting. And that was supposed to be done there at the hotel.
Yep.
So it was, ideally, it was mixed so that those that are coming in can come into the board meeting and get to know the board members, get to interact with the board members, get to express their thoughts and feelings prior to everything else kicking off. and also for us to just take care of any last minute business before the event, if there is any.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was Friday afternoon. Friday night is the reception. Then Saturday morning kicks it off. It goes through the afternoon. In theory, we're still supposed to have a banquet, which I haven't even put the price in for that yet because I wanted to see how the sales were going. But then the banquet would be Saturday night and then continue in on Sunday, finish Sunday afternoon. We also have a space where a bookstore would be created so people could go in and actually buy the books from the attendees or people that want to have the books displayed and stuff like that. So that's all of your books. That's everybody else's books and stuff like that. Everybody who is speaking, of course, will have a table to present themselves throughout the entire event. So if people have questions after their sessions or want to learn more about them otherwise, that table with their books would be available and stuff like that. So, okay. And also certification, the ACE author certification, I'm sorry, AMC authors marketing certification still continues on. And there's a list of those people that have done that over the years. And of course, it keeps every year, everybody's allowed to do that and participate in that stuff. So, okay. Have I overwhelmed you?
Any certified marketers in Houston?
No. I'm not author marketing certification yet. Actually, I
I'm
stand
looking
corrected.
for-
I'm sure there is.
But who? Because I'm looking for a book marketer.
Okay, so in that type of position, no, we don't have any
Okay.
on the list. Now, we may have it under our services. If you go to the website, go to services, service providers, there are a whole bunch of people that are available for different things in there. Editors, proofreaders, ghostwriters, graphic artists, media service sources, which would include that, photographers, publishing consultants, other resources, book reviewers, all that's under that classification.
And I came up with this great idea. I was gonna do it at WriterCon, but it's a game. It's a game for authors.
Oh,
Okay, tell me.
I love Monopoly. So I was gonna create this Monopoly board for authors. And then they would be divided into teams. And the teams would roll the die. I even bought the dice. I was gonna make this wonderful board. But the I forget what the subject matter was, but it was something that authors would love. And I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But you know, we might need to do a game or two to talk a little about, oh, are we talking about author self-care? That would be huge.
So my book will be available. And you know, it's free to any author who wants to get it.
Well, then we could build the game on author self-care.
I'll send you the ebook tomorrow, and then you can review it and see how you can work with
But
it.
I would need help.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Okay.
Okay.
So then the other thing is, how can we get me back out there to build our membership back up? I mean, I just don't have the money to go to events anymore and stuff. So how can
no,
we
we
find
totally
that?
understand. Yes. I wish it was that the board, we had enough money we could pay you a salary.
So do
That'd
I.
That would be awesome if we could just pay you a salary.
But you need to come up with some numbers, Alan. What does that look like? And present it to us, because maybe we could look for sponsors to do that, because you know, we'd have to justify, and I think we could. The organization has been around for a certain amount of time, and we want to see it's, you know, we want to keep it alive for generations to come. And I mean, that's just an idea. James, what do you think? Is he still there?
Oh, I'm still here, obviously. I just always mute my phone because you don't need background noise. But no, there's a solution to every problem, okay? And the fact of the matter is that this association needs to generate revenue in order to pay a salary, and not just a salary. Alan's not going to take a salary and use it to, he needs an expense account or get reimbursed for that. So that's something that needs to happen. We need to a revenue generating opportunity. And this board game you're talking about, I mean, that could be something, but I do think it's a combination. We need to sit down. We can't just think about this every 3 months. It's got to be, you got to have a committee, you got to have people that you're bringing in and bring proposals to the table. This just sounds like a bunch of idea generation. And I think with the board, it needs to be fortified to say, hey, we flushed this out. Here's what we're recommending. Let's do this. At least that's the boards I serve on. That's what we do. And it makes a difference. It's all about strategic planning. I mean, I don't want to sound, I hope I don't sound like a know-it-all because I'm not.
No,
but
actually, that makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Yeah.
we need to come up with a way. And I guess, I mean, that's the reason a board is a board. Do we believe in the organization enough to be problem solvers? And how can we contribute to the viability of this organization? So anyway,
well, one of the things I told Alan, which I'm going to share with you now, is each of us need to have a committee, because right now everything's on Alan. I mean, he's carrying the whole load. And if we could have each person, maybe I'm in charge of membership, maybe you're in charge of events, maybe you're in charge of income, so everybody has something, and then they get committees, and then they come up with viable solutions. So that would be good. So Alan, once again, I'd love to see you go to these events. It should be fundamental.
Yes.
You're very effective at it, and we just got to get back to that point. But part of that was the membership fees coming in. They could pay that, but I'd like to give it some more thought and then come up with a solution.
Are we a LLC or a nonprofit?
LLC.
Okay.
Oh, this is a profit arm, then, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I don't know why I didn't know that.
Okay,
But,
I have I'm sorry. Go ahead, James. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. I'm done. It's all you.
Okay, I have it will sound like an odd question, Alan, but I think other people have the same question. So when we talk about the organization, what organization exactly are we talking about? I've been with you, like I say, for 8 years. We've been through Texas Authors. We've been Authors Marketing Guild. We were, we've been all these different things. And even when you look on our website, we have subscriptions for the Authors School, but there's also a membership. I think that's pretty confusing for people. What are they members of? If they're, there's two different things. I think we need to make that clear and who we are and what we are.
Right. So here's the background. Okay. In 2011, we started off as the Texas Authors Association of Authors. Then in 2019, we switched over to the Authors Marketing International. We were supposed to be the Authors Marketing Guild, which is what we came. Then we got thrown with the lawsuit from the Authors Guild because we used the word guild. So we had to switch it then to Authors Marketing International. Then from the feedback that we did get from one of the surveys, everybody was saying, you're not a marketing firm, you are more of a school-oriented type program. So that's why we switched then in 2019 was, okay, we're the Authors School of Business, because we are teaching the business aspect of being authors, not so much the writing, even though we have some writing classes in this, we're about the business, which is mostly marketing, unfortunately. So that was the progression, and that's where we're at now. It's the Authors School of Business. Now on the website, it's listed as subscriptions because of the plugin that we use doesn't allow us to change it to members. So when I'm able to add it in as a page, I put the membership renewal because everybody who's been with us for so many years know that they are members, even though I'm trying to educate them that now they're students. But I have to leave it as members so that they understand they're still part of it and moving forward and stuff. So it is that confusing. And I've heard it from a couple other people who've been with us for such a long time. They are a little frustrated about that and totally get that. But hopefully the
Well,
school
where
is the
were we the
last thing.
most successful? I'm sorry. Where were we the most successful? Because it seemed like when we were Texas Artists, it seemed like we had a lot of people.
We had about 150 to 200 range. When we became more of a school for authors in general, then we grew to 350. And
So where
that-
are we now?
About 50.
Oh, God, yeah, we gotta build that up.
Yeah. And that's why we haven't been able to go out there and do it, because we just haven't had the money coming in and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that did hurt from the COVID and then the massive inflation that we had from 21, 22 that hurt. And so, yeah, it's like we're rebuilding everything again and, coming back out there. So that's the frustrating stuff. We've been around for 13 years. We're the only organization that's been doing this for that long period of time, even though there's a lot of new organizations trying to mimic us and copy us, but we're the oldest. So that's where that's at.
Well, can I ask a question? Could we have kept like Texas Authors and then said that we have a business school along with that? Then maybe we could have kept the members on. It seemed like we could combine something and make it one. To me, I don't know.
So in the About Us, it mentions our history of the names, in a much shorter version. But the reason that we also, as a group, chose to become the Authors School or the Authors Marketing was because we wanted to service more than the Texas authors. And when people hear Texas Authors, they immediately say, well, you're Texas, so why
Yeah,
would
you
I be a member of it?
Yeah,
And
right.
So that's why we slowly moved that out of the thing and just try to be as much an international organization as we possibly could. And we did have members from Canada and Canada, Puerto Rico, and England at one time. Oh, and the Middle East, Dubai. We had members at one time. But again, things happen, so.
So you ask us, how do we get you back out? Where would you, what do you want to do? What do you see being the most helpful for us?
We need it. Ideally, going back to the smaller events is the best thing right now to help build up the membership again. And those smaller events are all in Texas, so that's just reality. Now, I will be at the Writers Con in September, and so that will have people mostly from Oklahoma up there. Sharon has been there. She helped get me in there a couple years ago, and so I'm happy to be back there again. I try to get into Nashville, but no response there.
I think they're not as, I think they're having trouble too, because I've noticed several things. So I think it's just, I don't think it's us. Don't think it's just us. I think it's everywhere. And you just have to pick and choose which one, people want, what they feel is more beneficial to them.
Right. And so that's the thing is, any ideas you guys have that you can send me via email that will help me to spotlight what sets us apart, please do. You have your own little thing, like Becky, you sent me a paragraph of what you said earlier. And so those things will help that I can put into a social media message and put it out there, and also in the newsletter, put it out there and stuff. So I've put the classes out there on social media. We're having a class about this. We're having a class about this. We're having a class about this. Put those out there and stuff. So I try to do that as much as I possibly can. So anything else, please let me know. But I'm back to your question, Becky. I think for now, just the small little trips, like the one in Dallas coming up. Anything in Houston. We had the African American Museum here do a book thing, and I was there for that. Talk to everybody there. But I got zero response, but I did talk to everybody. So, I try to follow up as much as I can with everybody that I meet, and try to present the program and try to get them involved in some way and stuff. So. Yes.
I'm trying to think, you still need to tell us monetarily what that looks like.
Well,
I
each
mean,
event is different.
and the truth of the matter is, don't economize the list. Tell us what you really want to do.
Mhm.
And then maybe we can help find, help find the funds for you to do it. I think we just need to know what that looks like. And it's okay to tell us that, because if we can help you do it, we can. If we can, we can.
Yeah.
But at least we know what that threshold looks like.
Right. So
Yeah,
one of the major
Alan, I
events, of
think that-
course,
Go.
one of the major events, of course, is the Texas Book Festival. We need to have our presence there. Every year we've been there up to last year, and we've had good responses and stuff like that, getting the word
And
out.
when is that out?
This year, the mid-November, I think it's the second week of November. The Texas Library Conference. We've always had good responses and that allowed us then to have a booth, but also have authors come in and sell their books to the libraries and meet contacts and stuff like that. And that's always been beneficial in that respects. The American Library Conference in January and the American Library Conference in June are good events. Again, those are expensive events. But they open us up to where we can say, hey, authors, if you want to have your books there, if you want to have your presence there, here's a fee to help, cover that expense and stuff. And that helped us cover our expenses and stuff. But for now, like I said, starting off on the small stuff, like the Dallas event, you're looking at the $25 table fee, which is no big deal, but the hotel, the gas, and the food, so you're looking at about $200 to $300 range, to cover that expense. Okay, will we get anything out of it? We don't know, but at least we're getting the word out there and stuff. And those type of things. They're what's the name of the Lone Star Literary Group.
Yearly, you spend how much going to conferences? I want a bottom line number.
Well, no, here's what I was going to say, Alan. We're not going to come to that tonight. What you need to do is put together a proposal and bring it to the board and say that here's what it's going to cost and map it out. We're going to need $400 on May 15th to run the event. We could go all night just nickel and diming things, put a proposal together, present it, and let us vote on it and be done with it, and then have the money available to do it. I think that's the probably the most prudent way to do it. Don't you agree?
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So put it together, and then if you got another event coming up, you put together a proposal for that. Here's the entry fee. Here's the travel fee. Here's the per diem fee. And we say, yes, let's do it. But you got to quantify it by saying, hey, I went to the library and now we have 100 new members. Well, guess what? The board member is going to be jumping up and down next time you bring something. You see? But if we go and say, hey, nothing happened, then that kind of diminishes the effectiveness. So that's just my 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah. And I fully understand that. So, the good thing about being out there at doing these events and stuff, sometimes we get members 2-3 years later down the road that say, hey, I saw you at this and I finally decided to join. I've had that happen many times. But it's just getting out there. That's
What were you going to say about the Lone Star Literary? Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
So the Lone Star
Lit- yeah.
Literary organization, they have a page on there that lists all the Texas
Yes.
book festivals and stuff. So I'll just need to go through there and
Right.
see which ones are coming up.
And
stuff.
I'm good friends with well, we're such good friends. I can't think. We usually call each other, hey girl.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm good friends with Christine.
Yeah.
And so I can try to put in a good word for us if I can or whatever.
Yeah,
Which I met her actually at one of your events. And since then we have visited many times and seen each other at other events and met for coffee in, different places. So.
And I've invited her to speak at this year's event. And
she has a lot of personal things going on right now. So her father recently died. She has a new grandbaby. There's a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it on the agenda. And I have about 5-10 minutes left. Is there anything else anybody else wants to talk about? Dead quiet? Nothing? All right, don't forget our book contest is still going on, our short story contest is still going on, our poetry contest is still going on. So all those things are still out there and what have you and stuff like that. So if there's nothing else,
I'll
Something-
work on some poets and see if I can get them to enter. So I'll work on that too as well.
appreciate it. And that closes at the end of the year, so we have plenty of time.
And what is that?
How much
The
is
poetry
it?
$25 an entry for the poetry contest.
Oh, okay. I have a
Okay.
client, I'm working on his poetry book. I'll ask him if he
So
wants
to,
it.
to that, a sales pitch is if he enters one of those poems into the book and wins, then that's a marketing tool for his book.
Yes, it is. How much is it for the book short story?
The short story contest is $40. The book contest is $75.
I'm sorry, I keep talking out of turn. Did he answer your question without me butting in?
Mhm.
Okay. I was going to say for you two, Denise's and Sharon, I think you do novellas. I can help you. Maybe we can get together, and I know Denise Montgomery, you say you probably won't, you're not sure if you can come. But as far as
I'm gonna try my best to
Okay.
rearrange some things.
as far as doing Amazon, the overwhelming majority of my sales are ebooks, not physical books. In fact,
Okay.
I was just looking up my stats right now. I'm a little shy of 10 years as an author just through Amazon, because they let you look back. I've only sold about 5,000 real books, but I've sold 317,000 ebooks.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
so,
Come on and help us, girl.
and there's a thing,
Okay.
the reason I asked about novellas, they have a program that is little installments of short stories. I tried it. My customers, my readers did not want that. But for novellas, that might be a good thing. So I'll be happy to speak to y'all individually, or if we have one of those little lunch groups or whatever, I'll be happy to do that.
You get my email and just send me a Zoom link. I'll be there.
Or,
Me too.
I live in Dallas.
Me
I don't know
too.
where you live, Becky.
Halfway
Me
between
too.
Dallas and Houston.
so Becky,
I'll be there. Me too. I'll be there. Just look, Michael Jackson gotta be there.
Me too.
and Becky,
Just-
that would be a great
Uh-huh.
class for the AME.
I used to have it all figured out, and then Amazon changed all the rules. So sometimes I feel like I'm behind times on that. And it is hard to go back and remember, how did I get started? Right now, I'm very fortunate. I have some very loyal readers. But yeah, I would be happy to do that. I just don't want anyone to say, well, she told me so-and-so, and me be
No.
totally wrong.
So Becky, so are you saying you don't do a lot of paperback? You do mostly ebooks?
I do paperbacks, and they're in Barnes, and in some stores. I do them, and I sell a lot in private events. But I honestly forget about paperbacks because my money is in the other. That's where my money is. And I support my family now on my writing. So, there is money to be had there.
Yeah, it's just knowing how.
And I know, in a way, it feels like it's in competition with our organization, but it's not, because I think you can take the same things. I think we complement each other. And so I do think that just because I may do an e-book rather than the physical one, I've still learned the same principles for that. And it's just another tool that I can use. So I don't think of it as a competition.
It's not competition at all.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, I've got to go ahead and wrap this up. So if there's nothing else, if somebody wants to make a motion to end it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, James made the motion. Who wants to second it? Becky?
I'm second.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have my email, Becky?
No, but
I'll
Alan
connect you
can
guys.
send it to me, and that way.
Okay,
I'll connect you guys.
thanks.
And likewise
Uh-huh.
for me.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
we can
lady.
share each other's all the way around if it's okay with you, Alan.
I'll do that.
No,
So-
me
Alrighty.
too. It's the other Denise.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'll have a good one.
Thank you. Sorry I was
Bye-bye.
late.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.